Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non binary friends. Welcome back to another episode of Actors with Issues, where we bring you casual chats with the stars of TV, film, and Broadway. As always, I am your host, Juan Ayala. Thanks for tuning in. Today's guest is an actor and writer currently starring in the new Fox comedy Pivoting as a charming and handsome personal trainer who is slowly but surely falling for his client Jodie while she's trying not to fall for him. Please welcome to the show, Mr. JT Neal. JT, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. What a kind introduction.
So to get us started, we're going to play a rapid fire round of questions called Getting to Know You. We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock and see how many of these you can get through. And we'll start with an easy one. Coffee or tea?
T.
Film or TV?
Mm, Film.
Drama or comedy?
Comedy.
Hero or villain?
Villain.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Rom-coms or horror?
Rom-com.
Skiing or beach day?
Skiing. Oh, I hate the beach.
If you're in NYC, baseball game or Broadway show?
Broadway show.
What is the last show that you binge watched?
Ted Lasso.
What actor has had the biggest influence on you?
Uh, Tom Hanks.
What's a movie that never fails to make you laugh?
The Princess Bride.
And a movie that never fails to make you cry?
The Princess Bride.
Do you have a secret talent?
Guitar.
And that's time. So last question. Describe your worst audition in 3 words, and then no further explanation is needed. Just 3 words.
Um, Singing, dancing, and experience.
Inexperience.
Yeah.
Oh boy. We'll let the audience just piece that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, JT, you're a Texas boy through and through.
I
Were you
am.
exposed to the arts a lot growing up, or was that something that came a little bit later in life for you?
No, no. I am the town that I grew up in when I was a kid was kind of your Friday Night Lights Texas town. It was football, and that was the culture. And when I got into high school, I went to an arts magnet school in
Mm.
Dallas, which was an hour away from where I grew up. But it was the first time that I was ever around other artists and actors and musicians and dancers and visual artists, and that was the first exposure that I had to the arts. Really, I mean,
Mm.
my dad is a musician. He played fiddle, and we watched movies all the time, and so I was aware of all of it. And I always played music and guitar, but yeah, acting and the arts wasn't something that was really available to me. We had one play a year in middle school, and that was it.
Mm.
The rest was football.
So when is it that you sort of found that passion for performing and then like made that decision, like, all right, I'm going for this all in?
Well, I was kind of forced into it.
Really?
And yeah, and because I was in seventh grade, and I used to get in trouble all the time for talking in class and just
Me too.
being generally really
Yeah, I was chatterbox.
well. We found our way, right?
Right. Now I talk to
Um,
people for a living.
yeah, me too. And yeah, I had a teacher that had the foresight to say, okay, you can go to the principal's office again, or you can go audition for the one act play. Just make your choice. I can't deal with it anymore. And I was like, well, if I go to the principal's office, I get in trouble with my parents. I guess I'll go do the play. And so I had to tell my football coach that I was going to skip practice that day to go do the audition after school. That didn't go over well, and I got it, and I just kind of fell in love with it. I think I got it by default because I was one of like maybe two guys that auditioned for the thing, and I fell in love with it, and that was it.
I feel like that's very common. There's usually like a heavy shortage of guys in any
Yeah,
school theater.
yeah, absolutely. When I came to Los Angeles, it was like, oh man, I would go into audition rooms and I would see other guys that kind of looked like me, and I was
Mm.
like, is this normal? Because I went to high school where the guys were outnumbered like 3 to 1. So every guy role, like there was
Right.
always a play. Every play we did, there was always a role for me. You know what I mean? Because I was one of the few that was auditioning.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got spoiled in that when I came to Los Angeles. It was a bit of a wake up call, like, oh man, you got to get your stuff together.
And did you go to school for drama or did you study something else
For college or for
in
high school?
college? Yeah.
In college, I started as a BA in theater at Chapman University,
Mm.
and I ended up dropping out pretty quickly, and just was like, I'm gonna try my luck in LA and see where it goes. And Chapman was really generous, and they were like, you can have 4 semesters, um, to come back. You don't have to reapply.
Mm.
So just let us know. You can just sign back up for classes. And my parents were really great and supportive, and they were like, you have that time, go try it. If it doesn't work out, go back to school. If it does, great. And then, yeah, I kind of had just this determination to make it happen so I wouldn't have to go back to school.
Mm.
And I was able to justify staying in LA. So
Yeah.
I haven't gone back yet. So fingers crossed.
So, pilot season and production have not looked the same since COVID.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, pilot season looks very different just because of streaming. Stuff
Mhm.
is filming all year round and whatnot. So for pivoting, what was that audition experience like? When did you first audition for that?
Yeah. So I auditioned for this in June, I guess, of 2020.
Mm.
So it was really fresh into the pandemic, and at the time, the new environment was still very new, because I was at the beginning of 2020. I was working on another show, and that show ended, and I didn't have anything else. And this was the first thing I auditioned for when that ended.
Mm.
So it was like right out of the gate. Okay, we're back in the mix on something else, which was
Yeah.
really exciting. But it was also like I had no downtime to process, the loss of my other show and what had happened, which is, I mean, I think was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because
Mm.
otherwise I would have just sat there and stewed. And if I don't have something on the back end, on the back burner, something coming next, I start to kind of panic a little bit. And so this whole process was entirely over Zoom.
Mm.
My pre-read was a tape, and then I had a chemistry read with Ginnifer Goodwin over Zoom, which was bizarre.
Right.
First chemistry read I've ever had over a computer screen.
Mm.
And then from there, it was just they recorded that session, and then they sent it to network and studio. And then it was several more months before I found out that I actually got the job. So yeah, it was very strange.
Mm. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, especially chemistry reads, because it's hard to read. It's like reading sarcasm on a text without
Right.
an LOL. It's like you can't really you can't read it very well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, hey, it worked. You're on the show. Here we are a few episodes
I'm
in
sorry,
now.
I'm choking on my water.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah, it all worked out. So I mean, I guess I'm thankful. But it was a learning curve for sure.
And once you had gotten the call that you'd booked the role, what was going through your head?
I was so grateful. Liz Astroff is a writer and a creator that I admired for a long time, and she had so many wonderful shows. And so being a part of this show was just like, holy crap, how did I hit the jackpot twice? Bless This Mess was already so incredible, and the cast was so incredible.
Mm.
And I was like, nothing's ever going to follow that, and then this did. And this cast is incredible, and the writing is incredible, and Liz is the most generous showrunner ever. And Tristram, our director and producer, he was so kind. And I was like, how is this even possible? Like, something somebody's tricking me, right? That this
Right.
doesn't happen twice. Like, this doesn't happen twice in a lifetime, let alone like the same year.
Mm.
So I was blown away. I was floored. I didn't know what to do. And then it would be another year before we could even see it. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, sure. So looking back at your career so far, what is something that comes to mind that you wish you'd learned earlier on?
I think I've thought about this a lot in the last couple of years, where I wish that when I first got here, I would have just kind of let things go
Mm.
a little bit better, like auditions and things that would come my way that I wouldn't get or that I wouldn't book, which was almost everything when I first started. I would get so wrapped up in, oh my God, I loved this script. I loved this thing. Like, why didn't what can I do better? What can I do? Can I see them again? Like, can I,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't focus on the moment. I wouldn't focus on the next audition. I wouldn't focus on my class. I'd just be so like, like I remember the first time I tested for a show. I couldn't think of anything else because it was on a Friday or something like that. And then so I had the whole weekend to just sit and stew in my, panic about, am I going to get this show? And I didn't. And it was really hard on me. And
Mm.
now I've gotten much better about just kind of letting things happen as they happen. But it took me a long time to learn.
I've interviewed so many people at this point over the last couple of years, and
Mhm.
that is a very common thread among that is learning to let go. Because so many auditions come, if an actor is has a great team and whatnot, and
Mhm.
they've got all their materials sort of like um top notch, it's something that is hard to do because you're getting all these like co-star auditions, guest stars during pilot season, you get the
Yeah.
regulars, and so much comes your way. And if you look at the numbers, a fortunate person might get over 100 auditions a year.
Yeah.
And just the audition, it's hard to remember that just an audition is already like a victory
It's a
in and
win.
of itself, because
Yeah.
they've got 20 spots and 3,000 submissions, so it's like you
Yeah.
beat out 2,000 however many others, and it's easy to forget that.
I think that was something I didn't even realize either. Because I've had the same team since I was 17. And
Mm.
so I just assumed that everybody was getting all of these auditions because I have an incredible team that works so hard. And so I was going out all the time and I wasn't booking, and I felt so bad, like I was letting them down almost.
Mm.
And you're right, I didn't even think about that at the time. I mean, I realize that now, that just getting in the room is a feat in and of itself.
Mm.
And I mean, that was a testament to the people that I had behind me. But I would, I would get so, I was like, oh, I got to book this so that they know that I'm valuable, that when they took a chance on me when I was a teenager, that it wasn't for nothing. Um, and it's a hard place to be because that's all you can think about. And I feel like in the room, the casting director can sense that a bit. If you're so desperate to like prove yourself to them.
Mm.
It wasn't until I just was like, I know that I work hard. I know that I'm good enough for this. That's when things started happening. You know what I mean? When you go into the room with a bit more confidence, that's when the ball starts to roll.
So as far as your character with pivoting, what are you looking forward for audiences to see with your character?
I'm really excited to get to share his evolution and his arc.
Mm.
His journey with Jodie is so beautiful, and they just kind of bring out the best in each other. And the first couple of episodes are, they're more focused on the girls, and the whole show is. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's their journey, but I think that Matt and Jodie have this relationship that's really special and really beautiful, that kind of goes beyond, oh, this is just a fling. Like, oh my God, I got this crush on this guy and he's this, that. Like, they really care for each other. And you
Mm.
start to see that, where Matt gives Jodie the reassurance in early episodes of like, hey, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, like, you're going to look great, you're doing so wonderful. Jodie starts to kind of do that for Matt. You start to see his, insecurities and where he struggles, and Jodie steps in to kind of fill that space. And
Mm.
I think that's what makes their relationship really special. And it's hard to root for somebody who wants to cheat on their husband, or somebody that wants to be, the person that the person is cheating on them with. It like, that relationship shouldn't work on paper, but it really does,
Yeah.
because our writing team and Liz have created these two characters to complement each other in such a way that's like, oh my God, I just want them to succeed. I want them to be together, because they're so perfect and they help each other so much. And I think that's the beautiful thing about their relationship.
Yeah. After I was watching the show with my boyfriend, we were saying like, we're glad that your character is not like a homewrecker. Like
Right.
it's like the person's like, Jody is like unhappy. We haven't even met the husband yet. That's how absent he
Right.
actually is. He hasn't appeared yet. Um, literally not on screen. And just
He
it's an
come he
interesting,
comes in, you meet him, and and,
right?
and
I
he's
figured eventually.
fantastic. Yeah.
But just that dynamic of, she's looking for more of a companion and not just someone
Yeah.
that like is not there. And he has like from what I'm getting, like some sort of like someone to take care of him in a way, because like, when he said like when
Yeah.
you like, took out the stinger and whatnot, like you took care of me, you were
Yeah.
there for me, and like he doesn't have that and he's looking for that.
Yeah.
Um So it's a really sweet dynamic that they've set up between the two of them, and I'm excited to see what else is to come. Because again, I'm
Yeah.
loving the show, and
Thank
really
you.
excited to see what's next.
Thank you.
So before we go, we're gonna play a non-rapid fire round of questions called "Now That We Know You." So no timer.
Okay, good. This is
Fill
why
in
I could never play like Donkey Kong or Mario games because like time challenges just make me sweat.
fill in the blank. If I weren't working in the arts, I'd be.
Um, Studying history. I think I'd
Who
be
would
a
you?
historian, like
Mm,
like work in a museum or something like that.
mm. Who would you trade places with for one day?
No one. I I I don't think anybody. I think that that's something that I've learned more and more being in this is that you see these people on TV or any or whatever, and then you meet them or you start to learn more about them, and you're like, oh man, they go through the same thing that I do. It's
Mm,
like everybody's got their own thing that they're dealing with that they hide, and yeah, I think my struggles are hard enough. I don't think that I would want to trade places with anybody.
yeah. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Find what you love to do and make a living doing it. That was my mom.
And what's the worst advice you've ever gotten?
Find what you love to do and try to make a living doing it. Because this career is like, oh man, if I had known when I started what it was, I might be working in the museum right now.
What was your biggest takeaway from the pandemic?
I think just to tell people more that I love them and that I care about them.
Mm,
I lost people and I lost friendships and I lost loved ones, and I just would like to take more time to let people know that I care about them and that I love them, and foster relationships a little bit better. I tend to kind of be a recluse in my own life. I'm pretty private and I like my space and my alone time. And as much as I can right now, I would like to see more friends and see more family.
mm. And lastly, in 10 words or less, what advice would you give to a young actor?
Work hard, um, and don't stop learning. Um, Stay in class.
Mm, awesome. JT, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where can folks find you on social media if they want to give you a follow?
I'm only on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at JT Neal on Instagram and at JT underscore Neal underscore IV on Twitter. That's a mouthful, but that's all I could get at the time.
Okay. And you can all follow us on Instagram at Actors with Issues. Give me a follow at Juaniala Official. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening and catch new episodes every Monday. And don't miss JT Neal on Pivoting Thursdays on Fox at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. I'm Juaniala. That's JT Neal. This is Actors with Issues, and we'll see you next week.